The man watched the old man's trembling hands. He smiled slightly and turned back confidently. Just when he thought victory was in his grasp, the old man unexpectedly struck the billiard ball with the small intestine pattern into the pocket. The man immediately felt something strange in his stomach. He instinctively touched his abdomen. Before he could even process the situation, the sound of billiard balls colliding echoed again. The old man took another shot and pocketed another ball. Right after, the man's vision started to blur. He stared in disbelief at what was happening. The old man pulled off a ruthless trick, scoring 2 balls with 1 shot. Effortlessly, he sent the balls into the pockets. The man, in agony, covered his mouth and ears as he approached the pocket. Looking at the organs inside the billiard ball, he realized something was terribly wrong. Only 2 balls remained on the table. Gazing at the ball with a heart pattern, the man clutched his chest in fear. But the old man casually sipped his drink and said, "Every time I drink, I remember the dishes my wife used to make." He had no intention of going easy in this match. Besides, the consequences of losing had already been made clear to both of them. He had to secure victory and go home. With firm resolve, he slammed the chalk onto the table. With unwavering focus, he took his shot. As the cue struck, the ball jumped over the red ball and hit the target. The man screamed in terror, "No!" Yet, strangely, the ball veered off course. The man collapsed onto the ground, leaning against the table. Taking advantage of the break, he gulped down ice water to calm himself. At the same time, he recalled the rules that the white-haired man had mentioned at the beginning. The organ patterns on the balls were directly linked to their real bodies. But why, when he pocketed the old man's ball earlier, did the old man show no reaction at all? Meanwhile, he himself felt excruciating pain. It seemed the old man had been acting. Now, the only thing he was certain of was that, if he missed this shot, he might as well lay down and wait for death. In a situation like this, a normal person would go for the ball closest to the pocket. But now, the only balls left on the table were the brain and the heart. Neither had been pocketed. Thinking about the importance of the brain and heart, he decided to take a desperate gamble. Following the trajectory he envisioned, he aimed to pocket the heart ball. He set up his cue, eyes filled with confidence. Finally, he struck the cue ball. Following the planned path, the cue ball bounced off the cushions and hit the heart ball. But the outcome wasn't what he expected. He stared at the table in despair. To make things worse, the cue ball had stopped in a perfect position. He was so terrified he nearly wet himself, praying for the old man to give him a chance. The old man glanced at him indifferently. He reassured him, "Losing the game doesn't necessarily mean death, right?" The man was stunned and ran to ask the white-haired man, "What exactly happens if I lose? Will I end up like the people in that room?" The white-haired man replied, "I only asked you to bet your lives. Everything else is undisclosed." The man felt enraged. The old man was clearly in a completely different league. This was totally unfair. But the white-haired man said